then I feel really alone with everything, and I often feel defeated because I'm running so hard, but we really just keep standing still. My name is Figs O'Sullivan.
And I'm Teale O'Sullivan.
We're emotionally focused couples therapists, and we're a couple.
In an act of sheer bravery
or foolishness,
we're sharing our own couples therapy sessions with the world.
Watch or listen to us fight,
cry,
laugh,
and repair.
Then grow in your relationships along with us through the insight we share as couples therapists.
There's a little kid inside of each of us just reaching out for love and connection.
Let's begin to reach back out to each other.
Welcome home.
This is Come Here to Me. Welcome to our podcast, Come Here to Me. We are a couple, Figs,
Teale,
yeah, thank you. And we're also couples therapists. How fun. Right?
It is fun.
It is fun. I know, but like it's always funny. People go, "How do you survive as couples therapists, also in relationship with each other?" Right?
No, it's compelling.
It is compelling, but I think sometimes people are horrified. They think we would know so much, we could hold it against each other.
They just think we're really weird, and we are. We're here to tell you this is how weird we are.
Exactly. We're a couple, married, parents, and we also work as couples therapists, right? So It's pretty awesome. Now, we're very excited about this new podcast because here's what we're going to do. I don't know if it's ever really been done before. We're in couples therapy.
We are.
Right. Thanks to you, primarily, putting me in a headlock and making me do it. But so we're in couples therapy and we're recording our own personal couples therapy sessions, and we're going to share clips from our couples therapy sessions with you, both in audio for you actual podcast listeners, but then we're also going to release videos of the podcast recordings and the actual clips from the therapy. Now, one really important note, we basically pick out what we think are the juiciest, most important parts of each session we do. We're not going to cherry pick, that session I didn't like how my hair looked.
Your hair is always so flowing.
Right. For the listeners, I am bald. Just, yeah. So.
But my hair legit is flowing.
Your hair is just always magnificent.
It is.
Yes. So, but anyway, look, this episode, the first episode, we actually have a relatively small clip from our therapy session because we thought the juiciest part of the session was short.
Short but sweet.
Right. But there are other sessions to come, other of our therapy sessions and podcast episodes, where I think we're going to share pretty much the whole therapy session because we start off into it and we transform over the whole session into somewhere else.
That's true. I like that. I like the way you're saying that, and it's a transformation. We start off in hot and bothered conflict, and by the end we're making out kind of inappropriately.
Yeah, which for those of you that watch the video, you can turn the visuals off if watching us make out with each other is disturbing.
It's disturbing me thinking about it.
When we record ourselves making out, the camera above our bed, I get disturbed.
Wow. This has been so much information.
Too far?
This is
As a joke.
This is a fantasy. That's something to work towards. Hey, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Can you tell us a little bit about the name of this? Just because I love the name. Come Here to Me.
Yeah, so we went round and round and round for quite a while trying to decide on a name. And the reason I came up with this name, Come Here to Me, is it's an Irish expression that people in Ireland use a lot just to try and get someone's attention. And I use it in therapy sessions and with you in these two different ways. The first one is when I'm talking to someone and I feel like I need to get their attention, right? And so in couples therapy, when the couple, whether they're fighting with each other or one person is starting to get overwhelmed and totally immersed or engrossed in their own experience in a way that I actually need to help them come out a little bit, whether that's because they've gone down into the unbearable well of aloneness of shame, or whether that's they're getting escalated into anger. They've lost control of it.
They're getting cray-cray.
They're starting to get outside their window of tolerance that they can stay present to their own experience. I will actually say to someone, come here to me. Which basically means look at me for a second. Come over here, right? To actually try and get them to focus on me. And, you know, it's an interesting thing being a foreigner. Some of these, like, colloquial expressions are kind of disarming. If I was in Ireland doing couples therapy and I said, come here to me, like, the couple would probably ignore me. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just a normal expression. But like sometimes you say this expression, they're words that people know, but they're not familiar with it being used in this context. It's a little, I'm sorry, excuse me. The second place that I use the expression come here to me, for me it's actually a very touching place, right? And it kind of is the core moment of what is beautiful and possible with a couple. And that's when we have transitioned from being in a fight with each other, when a couple has transitioned from being in a fight with each other, and they actually feel empathy for each other. In that empathic moment, there is the possibility of a loving repair.
Absolutely.
And what I do often when I'm describing that moment to a couple, or when I describe you and I having an argument, and we get to that empathic moment where now I understand I was hurting, and that's why I was not talking to you, and I understand the reason you seem critical of me because you were hurting. That moment where we empathize with each other and we're starting to connect with each other, I will say to you, did you get hurt, Teale? You come here to me.
And there's a great moment like that you'll see in our first clip. Right?
Exactly.
I love this phrase. And I've got a third way.
Brilliant.
That I was kind of excited by this. This was one of the first terms Fig said to me when we met at Escalate in Big Sur, which is a, hot springs retreat center. And we'll save the story for another day, more detailed way that we came together. But I was just like, who is this person telling me, come here to me? Like, what the actual F?
Did I say that too? That's
yeah. I was like, there's also kind of a sexual.
That's just filthy mind.
Who would think that? Well, in the moment, believe me, my filthy mind was thinking lots of things.
Okay.
Was yours?
Yeah. Not immediately, but maybe 5 seconds later. It takes a little longer. The expression means a lot to us, and I think it can illustrate a lot of different really important points of the process of couples being able to connect with each other. One, helping them get out of their own stuff when they're really escalated. And then two, as an expression that can actually help them connect with each other. And then there's the third one, which can help them in the boudoir, it sounds like. So there's, yes.
Oh, that's so surprising.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I love that. And I love that there's going to be a moment like that coming up in our first clip. I want to share a little bit about what is going to be in this particular podcast and just our podcast in general. Like Figs and I, couples therapists, we have just the same problems as you. And we've got important ways of kind of coming home to one another. We also felt like, gosh, it would really help us to rewatch these sessions because, sometimes we need help just processing our feelings and having repetition. The other part was like, we were like, damn, this might be helpful for other people. This might be helpful for our clients or for our friends and family, or maybe listeners in other places too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, here's kind of the idea with couples counseling is, you look in general, that it's very hard to see yourself because I'm embedded in my experience, you're embedded in your experience. So it's very hard to see the system that we're co-creating with each other without having someone be in the witness position for both of us. And that's what a therapist does, right? And that, even for us, where this is what we do for a living, where this is our area of expertise, that is so invaluable. So then the next level of that is, why don't we actually share us being witnessed and someone helping us process our feelings Because, what is the number one valuable thing that we provide people? Yes, we have communication skills and information about how to have a better relationship. But by far the most valuable part is actually helping a couple, an individual, and couples be in their emotional process.
I'm glad you're saying this because it leads me to my special tip of the episode that we kind of get from this session. And it's going to sound sort of vague because it is, but it's just this reliance on process. So often we can be like, well, how can I do this differently next time?
Right.
Or, what's the plan? Or what's the skill I learned? Here's the perspective that we're wanting to just sort of infuse in your own contemplation of your relationship and to maybe notice in ours is following the process.
Yeah. Don't worry so much about making sure you never fight with each other, working out how to communicate well. Can you notice what you're feeling? Allow yourself to have those feelings. Go to a place that's messy with them, trusting that if you can continue to explore with each other, you'll end up in a more connected place than if you manage to avoid ever being hurt. A lot of times what people do, the kind of second place prize of a relationship is you just manage to control your feelings and never feel stuff like, oh, they didn't come home. I'm just going to take a deep breath and another swig of whiskey and I won't have to feel this. Isn't it great that we didn't fight? Well, look, yes, maybe it's great that you're no longer burning passports and slashing tires, right, when someone doesn't come home, right? But there is an even better way, which is I could actually notice, I'm actually really hurt and I am upset with you. And then the other person, like, I feel really bad. Like, it's awful to be a disappointment to you and I am now gonna, shut down. Like, your ability to go into those places, process them, and then end up loving and caring for those hurt places in each other. That's what I really hope we're going to be able to show the listeners us do throughout these recordings of our therapy sessions. We are going to model actually real live emotional processing between us. We're not trying to make sure that you never get triggered or that I never say something that hurts your feelings. We're trying to deeply understand ourselves and each other so we can get, so that's what happened, and so that gives us a lot more empathy and compassion for each other. I hope that's not going to be unbelievably intensely boring, but I do think it's by far the most important thing that people need in their own relationship.
Yeah. Amen. I think that sums it up really beautifully, sweetie. And I'm excited to, share clips of this. It's pretty vulnerable. Like, you see Fig's ugly crying and he's still hot while he's doing it, but,
You see me ugly crying. My ugly crying is like there might be one little...
And I'm capturing it with a little
one
bowl.
Tear. Exactly. 1 tear a year. So let's watch it.
I'd love it. Let's watch it. I mean, I'm kind of scared, but I'm excited too.
This first one, we picked out this short part that we thought really captures something important. I find life is really, really hard. I have to work really, really hard to try and make money. I have to work really, really hard to make everything happen. And then I feel really alone with everything, and I often feel defeated because I'm running so hard, but we really just keep standing still. Whether it's financially or there's just unending issues and problems. And with that stuff, I feel alone with it. Now, I don't think it's necessary, a lot of that is on me that I hold things that tightly and I take it so personally, if I'm not succeeding. But then obviously you do a lot, Teale does a lot of stuff with the kids more than I do. I get overwhelmed much quicker than she does with the kids. I always say, when Teale's with the kids, she enriches their lives. When I'm with the kids, I keep them alive. That's, so, but But yeah, so that's what I would just describe of myself. And so obviously we'll get into tough spots with each other when at times I feel really alone with us trying to move towards our goals, you know, in terms of financially, lifestyle, what it is we want to happen. And whenever I feel alone with that, I feel bad about myself. It's a cocktail of, I feel like I am failing, I am a failure. I feel pretty depressed. And then of course I look out to Teale and I feel like she's not really with me, right? Because Teale is, you know, she's painting a painting or she's like looking after the kids. Right, which is great. Like, it's an amazing quality that I want more of.
Well, I would just like to say, I don't paint.
No, I know, but I mean, like, you're just able to be present and happy in the moment. That was more figuratively. Okay. Although she is a great artist, amazing artist. But so
that was a compliment that she's painting a painting.
Exactly, right? It was a compliment that she's able to be present and enjoy the moment and be creative, whereas I get weighed down by my own expectations, my own anxiety about succeeding, making sure everything happens.
And your experience when you said I keep them alive, the kids.
Yeah.
You're alone in this as this force of whatever financial driving. And not that Teale's not doing it too, but you feel alone and when you say keeping them alive, like supporting, giving the supportive financial environment, making things happen?
Well, what I meant to that is literally when I spend time with them, I get overwhelmed with them and the amount they need from me. And I'm more likely that I let them watch a show or reread books and they lie on top of me. Then I'm leading a creative art project.
Right.
Like, I'm more likely to be more passive with them. So, like, they stay alive, but they're more likely to have learned some new skill or have painted some new multi-modality art project or something, right?
She might be more actively engaged in your experience with them, and you might be more cuddling around with them or lying around.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, and look, I mean, this is where we have competency gaps, right? Like, Teale is much more competent with the kids. And
I would also like to say in the house, like, I'm constantly...
Yeah, sweetie, absolutely.
No, but I mean, that's an important piece. Like, I don't want to just be, I'm competent with the kids. I'm also competent, like, running our
You're competent running our whole house. I don't know about you, but by the way, have you found that the session so far is about talking about all the things I'm shit at?
No,
but then when I mentioned one thing now it's like you're going to have to, like, stand up for yourself.
I've been feeling defensive for like 5 minutes.
Like, tell me what was triggering.
I feel like the fact that I'm like, as though you're even talking right now, like, I'm not as, like, contributing with work and, like, as though I'm this person who paints paintings with our kids, as though that's like my big thing, and that's fucking bullshit.
Well,
like, I've been hearing for 5 minutes that I'm not competent, and that's, so when I'm saying I clean the house, I run the house, I fucking shop, I see so many clients a week, I want to be seen for those things and not as a fucking art teacher for our kids.
Well, I'm sorry that that's the way it landed. It makes sense, but that's certainly not at all what I thought I was saying. I was actually saying that I am crap, that I'm not very good at doing stuff, and I personally get overwhelmed and feel like I'm failing and can feel alone. I didn't mean it as an actual indication.
So can we take a break and just hear from Teale's emotions?
Sure.
You know, I get things that you didn't intend this.
Sure.
I just want to hear how this landed with her a little more. I think that was one thing I was picking up on when I asked if the painting thing was a criticism, and you said absolutely not. It was a compliment. So I do want to know, because this points to a pattern for you, Teale, of not feeling recognized in some way, or tell me?
Yeah, like that's exactly what I feel like happens is though the things that I'm doing, the clients that I'm seeing, the supervising that I'm doing, the getting the food, the like constant fucking cleaning my house is like some inferior part of our life. But I want to be able to hold both. When you said I'm feeling so criticized and this is all about you feeling like the bad guy, I just wanted to clarify that that's not how I feel right now. I feel like bad about myself, and I feel like I wish I had another hour in the day, and I wish I had another arm, and I wish I could. And I'm not collapsing I do so much. That is a part of what's happening. But I also, like what I said, and my stated goal for myself is to be able to keep moving towards engaging with parts of the business that I feel are very overwhelming for me. And I don't think I do a good job. And I do think I collapse, you know, like that's why I thought it was so important last night, just our conversation. I feel really excited about that. So I'm just saying that sometimes that can happen.
Yeah. No,
Figs, you just so she. I mean, I don't want to be tedious about this. I just wonder if you could sort of paraphrase what she said, just so you understand how she was impacted. Not that you did anything wrong, but
yeah, that's fine. So it just sounded like I was saying that your contribution to our life is less important or less valued than the stuff I do, what you do in the house, what you do with the kids. And you also see clients and you supervise and you do so many things, and it can seem like I'm just disappointed or not happy with it or critical of it, and obviously
maybe not even aware of it.
Not even aware of it, and I can see like you would feel really sad and hurt, and it's not fair because you just don't have any more time to do anymore. And that you're not just an art teacher. I don't know. Did I get it or?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you have a little space to hear Figs talk about his intention and his feelings? I mean, my understanding was that he was going into a monologue about his what should I say, his angst or his some of how he gets spun out inside himself. And
yeah, I feel bad I wasn't able to like be present with what he was saying because I had my own thing come up, and that's my own insecurities.
Well, that's important that this came up, and maybe you can ask him, maybe you can tell him what you did hear. What are you laughing about?
He's like making fun of me.
I'm not making fun of you. I said it's okay. I just said I didn't mean it like I wasn't making fun of you for crying.
Not like
I was seeing you now as like just starting to move into now I feel bad about myself.
I'm just saying I can get now that I just had like a tender moment, and I'm glad I got to express that, and I feel like I can collect that there is also you talking about how you feel really bad about yourself.
Right.
And so...
Yeah, I mean, look, I totally get why it would have hurt you, and I'm glad that you shared it. And I really thought I was primarily trying to describe how I just think I'm a difficult person to be with. I just think I am difficult. I can feel really bad about myself and collapse in it, and I can be really critical and I feel alone. Like, I'm pretty difficult in all directions. So that's what I thought I was describing. That was fun.
Oh, what's it like for you, rewatching right now? Now we've got to see it a couple times. It's so different for me every time. I mean, I kind of get more layers. And anyway, what do you think? What's that like?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating just to see. I just love how easy it is to kind of miss each other.
Right.
Like, it just makes perfect sense that here I was thinking I was talking about myself, and this colorful description I used, thinking it was kind of like, you know, you're so amazing and creative, it totally makes sense that would have hurt. Like I was just saying, oh, Teale just does fun stuff. She doesn't do anything serious. Like painting, right? And I see how literally there was nothing else. Like, it was interesting. It just seemed like once that comment was out there, like, now when I look at you, like, you were gone, right? Like, you weren't with me.
You could see in my face, or you could, I mean, you can't really hear my voice yet until you've obviously stepped on the landmine. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just interesting, right? Like, I guess I watch it and I'm like, dang, like, he was saying all these other things, but now I've processed the moment. And I think one of the things I just really, really appreciate about you is the way, you know, he asked, can you say back what she said? And how already that's starting to de-escalate me so much. Just that you really hear me and you're saying from the beginning, I feel like folks at home are going to be like, my partner can't do that. And so it's going to be a little bit like, oh, you know, how are you able to do that? How are you able to paraphrase back, like actually listen to these parts and so quickly get the repair? Because we repaired really quickly. I think partly because you like heard me and you got it. And then, you know, I was crying and then I was, you know, kind of going back into secondary shame and
well, look, thank you, right? But I think, again, like, obviously, being a couples therapist, I have an advantage here that I have been a witness to these situations, you know, thousands upon thousands of times. Right, no exaggeration, where one person is saying something and, like, you know, let's say I said, like, oh, it's sunny and there are butterflies and, like, there's a warm breeze and you're in a field of lovely long swaying grass, and then I say, and there's a snake in the field, right? It makes sense to me that the other person, the only piece of information they're going to focus on now is the snake.
Right.
Our ancestors that did not focus on the snake, and when I say our ancestors, like, there are no people alive today whose distant ancestors did not focus on the snake.
It's so, evolutionary biology.
Exactly. So I get it, even though me as a human being in a moment where I think I'm talking about one thing and you're like, I rationally get why, even if I thought there was nothing I was saying threatening, that when you reflect back to me that, look, the thing you said about painting was the snake in the grass for me.
Yeah.
Nothing else makes sense. Like, there's no, I don't care how warm it is today. I don't care how lovely the swaying grass is. I don't care about the bees and the butterflies. Yeah. You think I'm just an art teacher? An art teacher. Right.
By the way, no offense to, like, art teachers are incredible. And they do, like, you know, as much or more than we do. I'm just saying, like, in this household, I'm wearing many hats. And I want to be appreciated for it. But the reason why this was so tender is because this is our first friggin' therapy session. And this has been, it's a feeling that I have. And I can see as I rewatch, I'm like, oh man, the shame of feeling so stretched and yet so not enough. There's so much that I leave undone, right? Just the never folded pile of clothes on that couch or something, and the super bill that's always looming in the background for me, or the ways that you can feel alone. Like, I'm intimately and constantly in touch with my shortcomings, and so I care so much how you see me.
Right.
I just want you to see me as, like, you know, this shining light that's so competent, and yet I feel pretty bad about myself a lot of the times. And then, you know, you say one thing where I feel minimized and all my shame just comes out, and it becomes about, you do this to me, you don't see me. But this is just a part, and you know, I think what we see in the secondary shame moment is really like I said, I'm collecting this moment and being like, oh, you're feeling bad about yourself, I couldn't see it.
Right.
You feel this way too?
Yeah.
That's so bonding for us, you know?
Look, you know, what I think might be good is just here's the way I kind of frame, and you please, like, if you see it differently, let me know, is that I thought I was talking about myself. I said something that hurt your feelings, right? Like the reference to you're going to paint a picture, right? I really hurt. It felt like I was devaluing, like, and not seeing you as really worthy and contributing. And so it really hurt. And then you were stuck in hurt and upset with me as I kept talking.
Right.
And then eventually you told me, right? You basically let it know, like, I am not just an art teacher. So, like, even though you were hurting, right? Like, it was mixed with you did this to me. And so then I actually hurt. Like, I actually felt, this is unfair. Right? And I don't want to mock my own hurt, but it hurt because, like, it just felt like, God, I was talking about me and I'm in trouble again. So it actually hurt. But then what actually happened, I appreciate you giving me credit, but I contributed to the cycle because I told you it wasn't my intention. Right? I actually defended myself. I tried to explain myself. Well, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Which, you know, I'm always trying to tell people intentions mention, impact is more important than intention. But in that moment, I wasn't able to attend to the impact I had on you because I was hurt and you were hurt at the exact same moment. We were in an impossible situation. So I defended and explained myself. And then again, I thought that our therapist did a really good job at helping us get back to what was the impact. Can you let Teale know you understand how you heard her and that it's valid that she was impacted? So that change got us out of an ongoing cycle because you then could hear, right? You could then hear like, oh, Figs actually heard me and he does think I'm valid to be hurting. And so that was the flip. So,
that's really important how you're saying that. And that's something that our listeners and watchers will notice over time is that what we're doing is kind of making a note of what's happening vulnerably. Like inside, Teale was feeling shame and feeling not appreciated and seen in her entirety. And did I share that? Did I say, oh, I'm listening to you and actually feeling really bad about myself and like maybe you don't see me in this positive light, this thing's happening? No. I said, actually, I'd like to clarify, blah, blah, blah. You know, I don't know exactly what I said, but it was, the energy was like,
I do a lot.
I do a lot. And then, boom, so touching a vulnerable piece for Figs, where he feels like, wait a minute, I was talking about myself, and now you're upset with me?
Well, but the vulnerable part, like, I felt like I'm in trouble again, I'm bad.
Felt like you're in trouble. And then you criticized me back. You said, excuse me, do you think that we've been talking, haven't we been talking this whole time about how I've been...
Exactly. The first thing I did is I actually blamed you. You're right, I was remembering I was defensive, but the very first thing I did is I attacked you back.
Right.
I said, yeah, the first thing I say, you're going to get all upset.
Yeah.
Miss Sensitive Pants.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And this is part of the complexity that Figs and I have because of our own childhood and our own complications. You'll see that's a bit of a mixed bag in terms of how attachment shows up there. I feel criticized back, and then I start to explain. So I start to kind of like say, this is actually what's going on. And, you know, hurt and angry and all that stuff. And so, our therapist got to slow us down. You said it back to me. And so I actually think me picking up on, hey, when you said it back, it was so touched. You had a moment to actually convince yourself, this is what was happening. Like, it was a really effective intervention in that moment.
Yeah, it was effective just to slow down and just focus again on the validity of the impact I had on you. And I think this is a really important thing. It's not like the other part of me had gone away, that I wasn't hurt, but I was able to put that on the shelf and just focus on the impact I had on you and validate you. And then, of course, this flip happened, right, where you started to feel bad about yourself for being sensitive, for getting your feelings hurt.
Right. I was like, man, I missed the whole thing. And there was something there that happened. When you saw me start to go into the tears that second time, you started to smile. Like, that seemed to really kind of melt the ice, the icicle heart.
Yeah, well, again, this is the good thing, bad thing about being a therapist or couples therapist is I just saw you flip from, I'm not seen and understood and I'm going to tell you about it, even though it was mixed with tears. And this is what's confusing. Sometimes people can say, I am in my vulnerable emotions, but it's mixed with, and you did it to me.
Right.
So it's not really very vulnerable, even though you're crying.
It's dangerous for the other person.
Exactly.
Still.
It's confusing because, like, but I am vulnerable. Yeah, not when you're saying, I'm vulnerable and you did it to me is not actually vulnerable. But good, please make a note of that, right? But the reason I was laughing is I just saw you, like we all have multiple people inside of us, and I saw you go from, I'm not seen and heard and I'm hurting and I'm angry at you, to then all of a sudden you're still feeling vulnerable, but you're actually, I feel really bad about myself, right? And it's literally like a separate person inside you.
Yeah.
And so when I started laughing, it was kind of a recognition, oh my God, Teale, you're on such a journey, right? You're literally like on a trip, right? Of shifting from one hurt part of one reactive part to another hurt part.
Right.
And then a different reaction where now you're starting to put yourself down.
Yeah.
And that's when I reached out. I was like, oh my God, take it easy on yourself. Like I'm laughing like, dude, like chill out. Like you're being so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Yeah. That was a great moment. I like rewatching that, and just as our listeners will learn, we use humor, to really infuse moments with our clients and also with ourselves. Fix is super funny.
Why, thank you.
And sometimes we're going to do this deep psychological work, and sometimes we're just going to be able to find some levity, and that really was a big piece of medicine there for us. So.
Yeah, it was really good. Look, it's so great to be able to see your own cycle play out. You felt like I didn't really value you. It hurt your feelings. You let me know I was bad, like saying you don't contribute, and that hurt my feelings. I attacked you. I was defensive. You were even more hurt, right? We could have kept going in that.
We could.
Our therapist slowed us down, got me to reflect the impact and how it does make sense. That actually helped you feel less that I didn't understand. But then it flipped you into a different part of like, now I feel bad that I didn't get it. You were talking about yourself, and then you started being mean to yourself, which again, that softened me towards you even more.
Right.
Because then I'm like, oh, Teale, please don't beat yourself up right now. It's okay. Right. And we were then able to have a bonded, connected moment. Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you noticed, that was really messy. Like I'm now describing it very simply, but in the moment, like I wasn't able to see all that was happening. Like, and it wasn't a smooth, direct path to get to this place where, okay, we just had a fight, it was really bad, everything is okay now, and we're back connected. It's always messy, and it always, for some period of time, feels like there's no way out of this.
Right.
And so, again, because of our experience, it's a little easier for us to trust going into these moments that are so difficult and so disconnected, and the stressing, that we can trust we'll get out of it.
Yeah. And that's not to say you people at home or wherever you're at on your jog in the car, you can't do this if you're not a therapist. It's just, this is something that you'll hear Figs and I talk about a lot, is this idea of the magic is in the repair. And eventually there's a shift where we start to go to, man, that was messy. I don't even fully get it, but I can see now a little bit through the rain that you were hurting and that you were reactive. And I can kind of collect for myself, man, I actually was hurting. Exactly. First of all, everyone, that's the first part, right? Noticing what's happening in my darn self.
Yeah.
Right? Man, I was critical and I missed something, and I think I was actually just hurting.
Exactly.
So just noticing, can we express that as soon as possible? That's that magic is in the repair piece that, we'll talk more about.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for just being with us and sharing some of our own couples therapy journey and hearing some of the way we organize and make sense of what it was we were feeling and why we said and did what we did.
Right.
And again, the beauty of this is what obviously we hope you're going to be able to do in your own relationship, understanding yourself, being curious and having a better understanding of your significant other. But then this third perspective is the key, and that is this perspective, the bird's eye view of seeing the entire scene. So hopefully as you see us go through this process of understanding ourselves, each other, and then what we co-create together, it'll help you and your relationship be able to do the same and have the relationship you and your partner deserve. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you all. I love that you're a witness, and I love that maybe a couple of these little tidbits and my follies and Fig's follies can help you in your own relationship with yourself or your best friend or your partner. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, I hope you'll tune in and listen to us episode 2.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye.
This was Come Here to Me. Relationship experts walk the talk.
Visit comeheretomepodcast.com for episode transcripts, social media links, and to subscribe to the mailing list.
If you or someone you love are struggling in your relationship or just want to work on making things that little bit better, visit us at empathy.com. That's empathy with an I on the end, not a Y on the end. We've got quizzes, courses, videos, articles, and free consultations for couples counseling or for relationship coaching.